Okay, here we are, game week 214. So let's take a look at last weekend, if there's any insights. Pretty chalk, I would say. But one thing that's interesting is Champion Europe actually had its lowest winning point threshold in that I can remember, at least in several weeks to start the year, for weekend games at least, and not including international breaks and all that. That seems to be a bit of an anomaly because if we look down at the limited cards, you needed 331. So it's kind of strange that only 313 took a card home. The other one I'm kind of noticing here, maybe not too uniform, but just something to kind of keep in mind is like with how competitive Challenger Europe is getting, these are big numbers to win a card. You're sort of better off just to get into Global All-Star. Like if you scored 360, you would have got kind of, one of the tier 3s there. But if you'd put that in Global All-Star, you would have bumped into the tier 2s. So something to keep in mind. Challenger Europe, I've got a pretty good side there as well. And I'm starting to get worried. It's just really tough to win cards there. Champion Europe's getting that way as well, although some people are suggesting that maybe people are kind of moving out of it just for that very reason. So maybe that's what we're seeing. Who knows? Nothing else too surprising here. Again, the limited point thresholds are starting to really increase and become on par with the rares and super rare type leagues, or at least the rare leagues, I guess I should say. So let's look ahead. This weekend, these look pretty similar as we always see. We tend to always see that Champion Europe has a bigger chance of payout, but that it needs a larger point threshold to do so. Again, last week an exception. Nothing looks too out of the ordinary here. Interesting that Asia has a high point threshold, a high percentage of payout here, but not so much in the rare. So that's interesting. The one thing I want to do, I always kind of want to provide value, and I feel like I'd said this over the last few that I felt like this is getting a bit stale. We're starting to see some just kind of general numbers. You can now, if you've been watching this time and time again, you can almost just like go straight to the spreadsheet below. But of course, I need the views and the likes and all those wonderful things. So I need to give you a bit more value so that this doesn't feel stale. So one of the things I'm looking at least going to start to do is just highlight players that maybe you might want to buy kind of last minute. This week, we're going to look at the special weekly. I think I'll focus on that in a lot of these. It's a Bundesliga type of weekly, but what's interesting is that you can put your limited cards as well as your rare, super rares, uniques. That sounds really interesting. There's only 334 people in it. So in a lot of ways, and the payout here, 17%, looks pretty healthy. In a lot of ways, that sounds like something to get into. And I will just exercise a word of caution that if you were to put in, say, an entirely limited lineup, which is kind of what I would probably have to do to put in a competitive one here, you remember that those that are putting in rares, super rares, and so on are getting the percentage bonuses of those cards, whereas limited, you're not getting that at all. So you may have a decent lineup on paper, but you'll just get beat out by those that can put in those players with the bonuses as well. So could be fool's gold. I'm not sure. I'm kind of debating whether to put a team in here or just get into one of these like I might typically do. But we'll see, because you can see the payout and the number of people in is so much smaller than, say, in here. So it might be worth a crack. We'll see. On to that, if you are looking to maybe grab a player or two to fill your lineup for this Bundesliga special weekly, just a few that I've highlighted. I kind of went through each position. In terms of in goal, this guy's probably the cheapest, frankly, at 250. Most Bundesliga starters are well over kind of 350, 400 in the rare, and then kind of in that like 100, even 0.075 for the limited. So for 0.045, it's tough to find one in Bundesliga for this. So, and his numbers aren't great, but if you just need a bit of a plug and play. Mavropanos, he's a defender for Stuttgart, which really amazing numbers. What I like about this is his pricing at the limited level is fairly flat. There's only 3 rare cards, so you can't really gain too much insight from that. But on the limited side of things, since he'd been launched, pretty stable. So you're not necessarily buying high right here. This probably, maybe these offers here that you might see in market are trying to capitalize a little bit. But if you could get it around this 0.077, it feels pretty fair. Look at these numbers here. Big numbers into the greens. You wonder about these two. Well, that was just playing for Greece. So in these matchups, may have came off the bench. I have no idea. So, but if we talk about Bundesliga, I mean, look at these, just 5 in a row of just stellar numbers, and beyond that, also you'd be pretty happy with any of those. So if you have a bit of coin to spend, go for that. Lampropoulos, is that it? Lampropolis. Let's go with that. I found a couple defenders that are just cheap. Sometimes you just want to get a cheap defender, frankly, because you can still get some decent output from them. Now, he didn't play yesterday in the German Cup, so I don't know if that's to rest him, maybe, because what we see is there were some DNPs here. So maybe he's coming back from injury. They're kind of easing him in. I'm not sure. Or maybe he's kind of more of a bit player, or not a full-time starter at this moment or something. I'm not sure. So, but what we do see is in the league 64 and 77. So to get numbers like that or approaching that for 0.006, that's quite nice. Who are they playing again? Bochum's toward the bottom of the table. I'll have to go back and look. Oh no, I'm here. So they are playing, Malkin Gladbach, who came off a 5-0 victory over Bayern Munich in the Cup tie yesterday. So they'll be either riding high or completely burnt out. I'm not sure, but it might be a tough match for Bochum. But I mean, for kind of pretty low prices, 0.051 in the rares, that's not so bad. You could certainly roll the dice there. And then the other defender I have, Christopher Trimmel, a little more steady, so also cheap, similar price to the other guy, but a little more steady. So if we look across here, like some up and downs, mind you, but and two of these you got to take out because it's Austria, but at least I think a reasonable chance to do pretty well and to get you kind of a medium amount of points. So it's done pretty well lately. In terms of mids, I just have the one. I mean, there's lots, but like I really like this guy, Florian Grillitsch. He's Hoffenheim. This is a totally reasonable price, and even this, I'd say the rare is maybe a touch overpriced at the moment because he is a really steady player, and there's only 3 of his cards. But if you're going into the limited, for me, just kind of really steady scores here. Obviously, a few ones that dropped off. Some of this with Austria, whatnot. But yeah, I quite like this one here. And then into the forwards, Graham Onisiwu. So last weekend, he got a goal and 2 assists, hence the 100 point here. As you can see, he's kind of all over the map. But I mean, the fact that he's capable. Again, we can take 2 of these out from international play. And we see that he's certainly capable of some big numbers, and his pricing's fairly attainable for a forward. Someone who's a little steadier, Lucas Holler. So again, he's a little pricier, but steadier in terms of numbers and has some good ones. And what's great about Freiburg, not only they're doing so well, they're undefeated, but they are playing Firth. And if we look at, Firth's bottom of the table, we know this, but minus 18 goal differential, and they've conceded 24 goals in 9 matches. So Freiburg should be able to get at least 2 or 3, and Holler might be the guy to do it. So there you go. Those are the ones that jumped out to me, and hope that helps. We will talk again soon. All right, bye.